Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast with Jim and Aram. It's just the two of us, so we know you're excited. If you are a coach or a human being, there is still time to get tickets for the Real Coaches Summit 2025, mid-April in Las Vegas at the Caesars Palace. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only sit on the edge.
Wow, that's genius marketing right there. It sounds like you're selling a WWE
Monster truck
ticket.
rally. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, man.
Yeah, if you're a coach or even just a pedestrian who's just trying to learn about this stuff from credible educators who I trust, and if I trust them, you know they got to be good because I don't put bullshit out there. So it's one of those things where I think fitness and nutrition get to be such a lonely pursuit for people because so many people aren't doing it, and you always feel like this pariah. That even just if you're not a coach and you just go hang around with these types of people and just take in that type of energy, it might lead you into wanting to become a coach if this is truly a passion of yours. Maybe it starts to brush up on some knowledge that you don't currently have that you might want to invest in to unlock some future potential results for yourself. So even if you're not a coach, like I think I have 6 of my clients coming.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of people are part-time coaches. I think that everybody thinks that, well, I'm not a full-time coach. Most coaches are not full-time coaches. Most coaches have full-time jobs and families, and that provides them the stability that they want or need and allows them to coach without the pressures of it. So if you're part-time, or like Aram just said, if you're considering, then get around people and just see and ask questions. You know, you might be surprised how comfortable you feel in that setting. I know the first time I went to something, it was a little intimidating feeling. You know, I'm not a full-time coach, which is all about. And now, like, I'm super popular and everybody loves me.
It could also be the reason why you become a full-time coach because the hard part about getting away to these things, if you're part-time, is you don't consider it to be your number one moneymaker. So it's not something you're really actively investing in. But you also got to think about the potential implications that has on your future success with clients. Like if you're somebody who's kind of just dipping your toes in the water and you're just half in and you're always worrying about the financial ramifications of fully stepping all into this career, you've got to be leaving something on the table with your clients. Like there's just no way that you're giving that career or that potential career the full attention that it deserves. And if you're asking for money from people, even on a part-time basis, I think you're doing them a disservice by not being as well-rounded as you could be.
Yeah. And if you have kids, this is a perfect opportunity to take a break from them. Perfect opportunity. And it's not, if you've never been to Vegas, it's not like, oh, Vegas. Oh, like it's Vegas. It's nothing like that. I was surprised.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've had some kickback from people who are like, oh, I fucking hate Vegas. And I'm like, okay, well, you're not really going to be in Vegas. You're literally in, you could not leave the property if you didn't want to. Like you could literally just stay at Caesar's Palace the whole time. And yeah, of course, there's a casino in there, and there's restaurants and bars and clubs and everything. But just
you don't have to go there.
No, you don't have to go there. Like it's social media. If you don't want to like somebody and follow them, you don't have to like and follow them. You can walk a different direction and go to your room, or go have dinner and then go back to your room. But like I think it's always so short-sighted when people say things like, "Well, I can't arrange for childcare." It's like, yeah, you can. You do it every time you go on vacation without your kids.
Well, if they do, if they do.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen plenty of people scrounge up money for bachelorette parties and bachelor parties. That, you know what I mean? Like
Charleston, it's the new hot spot for the bachelorette parties.
You know, it's like I get it. I get it's a financial and time obligation, and it's a lot easier when you don't have kids, and it's a lot easier when this is your full-time career. But I truly believe, like, and anybody who's anybody that I know who's a 15, 20-year vet in this business has attributed a lot of their success to going to live events.
Yeah, and if you're akin to fun, to smiling, and to human beings, then I mean, it's just, it's like fun anyway. If you're bored with a presenter, leave, walk around, talk to people in the hallway. Like it's a good time, man. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for buying my plane ticket. I appreciate it. I heard that you were giving away 3 plane tickets.
5.
5 plane tickets. Nice.
But only
Nice.
if they're over $700.
Yeah. I heard there's some kind of rumor like you were going to do a giveaway of buying plane tickets. Not to Vegas. It's just going to be like a plane ticket to a random city. So you're going to miss it, but it's worth the prank.
I'll buy one leg of your trip, but then you have to figure out how to make it the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I want to see how resourceful you are.
Yeah. This is time for you to prove yourself.
Yeah, this is like it's indoctrination into understanding how to take care of yourself better and prioritizing yourself. Like if you can't problem solve, you're not going to get there.
Yeah, it's like that way you can understand your clients who are having a hard time hitting their macros. You've now learned how to problem solve. So now you can help educate them on what do you do?
Yeah. I'm stranded in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and I don't know how to get to Sheboygan.
Is that a city?
I think so.
Okay.
Hold on, let's find out. I think it is.
Jamie, pull that up. That's Joe Rogan's assistant.
Yeah. Sheboygan is a city in Wisconsin.
Sheboygan. That sounds like from Kingpin, Munson. You've been Munsoned. It sounds like a word like that. Like, oh, that's a real Sheboygan.
You know where I heard that Sheboygan. Was? It was John Candy in Home Alone when he's on he's the Polka King.
Polka King.
Yeah.
You never heard it? Polka. Hey, Polka. No, nothing. Never. Okay.
I read something on Facebook. Always pops up those like stupid the articles that they just happen to find, and it was talking about that scene in that movie that he took $400 for that.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a free cameo that he was gonna do because that was like the height of his career.
Yeah.
Like that era, like that was when he did Uncle Buck. Yeah, like all of his good movies came out in that era, but he was gonna do it for free. And I think he asked for some stupid amount of money, like $400 to pay for something stupid for somebody else.
Okay.
And they gave it to him, and then he just did it, and he ad-libbed the entire thing in the van.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I haven't seen it. I was going to watch that the other day. I haven't watched that in a while.
That's a good one. You're going the wrong way. How do you know where we're going? You're going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I got to watch that. It's been like way too long. I'm almost going back to I watched Analyze This on the plane yesterday.
Okay.
It's so good, dude. Billy Crystal's just so funny.
Yeah. So how's your New Year going, man? You just got back from Fort Lauderdale.
It was good. It was good to see my parents, and a little sad to see my mother now, who's 78, slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
My father's good, man. He's fucking running circles around people. Like we were walking downtown. He's leaps and bounds ahead of us, and he's just moseying. And my mom's just, I don't know if it was the pacemaker she got put in 2023 that's slowing her down. I don't know if it's just she's just more idle now than she has been. But there's a noticeable, I think we probably walked for maybe 40 minutes, and she was done. Like she had to go home, and it's just sad, dude. It's sad to see the decline, and 100% attributed to just a lack of self-care. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You just described the average 40-year-old with their kids at Disney World.
Yeah. I mean, my mom used to run, I remember my mom, when I was in Australia in 2005, which I was 21. So that makes her, I'm 40 now. So 19 years ago, my mother's 78. So she was 60, she was 59. Dude, we must have walked, I don't know, 7-8 miles from one end of Sydney to the other. And she was ahead of us the entire time. Did not slow down, had bags with her, and she was good.
Why do you walk so slow?
Because I try to keep that 3 mile an hour pace just to keep my zone 2 going. I don't want to elevate my heart rate.
Everyone's walking ahead of you. This seems like a problem.
I'm trying not to go too fast because if my heart rate goes up, I start burning way too many calories. And I get way too sexy, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, you can't sacrifice that muscle too.
I got to keep body fat around 14%.
Yeah, just to keep the erections lessened.
Yeah, well, if there's more fluff. And it's more fun to reveal things after you remove some of that fluff. And then that way I can always be 4 weeks to the beach.
Living the example.
Yeah. But it's, it's funny. You have that memory of your parents and that defines them. So I remember my mother as that 59-year-old woman running around, and now seeing her at 78 and just seeing how much she's slowed down is just seeing that 20-year decline is crazy.
I'm going to show you a picture because you're describing them and them moving around so much. This is a picture of my dad when he was 40 years old. He's 5 years younger than me.
He looks like he's 10 years older than you are.
10 years older. That's with Dr. J.
Go over to oh yeah, it is Dr. J. Holy shit. Where was that? Is that at a restaurant?
Roy Rogers. My dad worked at Roy's, like manager, regional manager, like one of those kind of things. That was back in the day when I was growing up. Yeah. But that's a man that's been working hard in business. You know, he didn't have the time to take care of his body and all that, but he's turned it around. He's getting his 10K steps a day now. And
is he?
We wear the same size shirts now. They just hug my biceps a little better. You hear that, Joe? I know you're listening.
Fucking Joe.
Fucking Joe. He's on a walk right now listening.
Your Eagles are going to the next round.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I didn't watch 1 minute of it.
I was hoping that the Detroit Lions would win on Saturday, and they did not. So now the Washington used to be Redskins, now currently Commanders, which I don't understand why that happened, but
it's racist.
I don't think any Indian people were running around being like, change that.
Native Americans, Aram. Oh my goodness. Native Americans. Have some respect.
No. When I say Indians, I mean feather, not dot.
Yeah, Native American.
Right, feather.
Indians are from India.
No.
No. No. That's true. You're actually right. I apologize.
Aren't Mayans technically Indians too?
I don't know.
I use the old school terminology. I say Injuns.
Engine. Engine number 9
right,
on the New York Transit line. If my train goes off the track, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Back on the scene, crispy and clean. That's as far as I know.
That's all you need to know. You just
That's all you need to know.
You just sang the entire song. So you're off today for Martin's birthday, or what's his birthday?
Martin Luther King Day. We're off, and we had a bunch of snow, so it's kind of like a snow day type of thing. Got the dog at the groomer, waiting to get that text to pick him up. And
how often are you doing dog grooming with the dog?
I think the last one was a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're hypoallergenic, right?
Yeah.
So they don't really shed, and they're pretty. No. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good dog. He's good. But yeah, man. So you got any new goals? Any new things you've been working on? You're a busy man.
Nothing, man. I'm holding it together with just some consistency. That's really it right now, and nice. I'm just kind of planning for the event and getting that filled up, and so everything's on autopilot. Honestly, like that's why watching clients kind of stumble and fall throughout the holidays, and then seeing how challenging it's been for a lot of people to get back together. I think it's just because people still tolerate feeling like shit. Like I think that honestly, I truly believe that there's this push of desperation when there's body fat to lose, but it's never really rooted in how they want to feel. It's always rooted in how they want to look. So it's just easier to put down when it's only rooted in your aesthetic, as opposed to like, I don't want to tolerate having a bloated belly and diarrhea and shit sleep and indigestion for 4 days straight. So I'm going to proactively stop treating myself like an asshole and eating like shit. So I'm just going to get back to what I was doing before that made me feel good. Yeah. And it's really been that conversation on autopilot for the last couple of weeks. Like I basically use myself as an example, like we got to Fort Lauderdale on Thursday, brought a bunch of food on the plane, ate well that day, tracked all my food, had a Greek meal delivered to the Airbnb at like 10:30 at night. So nailed my protein, nailed everything there. It was a little under calories. And then Friday didn't track, had food at my parents' house. So that was like Russian soul food, beef stroganoff and shit like that. High, just super.
That's a coined term right there. Russian soul food.
Yeah. Yeah. Mom's, not mom's spaghetti. It was mom's stroganoff, and poured over pan fried, greased up, real oily potatoes and potato salad. That's Russian. So like, whatever, that's going to happen.
How are your poops? Were they greasy?
Awful, dude. It's just horrible. Like the next day I woke and the problem with the Airbnb was that, they give you that thin toilet paper that doesn't absorb anything.
I'm a fan.
I just go right in the
Now
shower.
that's because of the bidet.
I have the bidet here, but
if it's
obviously I
too
can't.
cushy, I feel like it's just smearing shit around.
That's all it is. That's all it is
That's why I
ever.
like the
Anyway,
thin
that's why
stuff.
I
Yeah,
just hop in the shower. I just say fuck it. I'm just gonna get right in the
yeah,
shower. I'm gonna bathe myself and clean myself that way. But then like
yeah,
ordered pizza the next day because I had read that this one place in Delray was really good, so I got it. It was actually pretty good. It impressed me
yeah,
surprisingly. But then like by the second day, I'm like, I don't want to eat like this
yeah,
anymore. I don't want to wake up like with that fucking meat hangover
yeah.
and that like grease hangover. It's just not worth it to me. And I guess because I've felt so good for so long, it's easier to make that decision to just get right back into an egg white meal, into a salad, into a piece of fish for dinner the next night or sushi. And that's exactly what happened the next day. I just got right back into that style of eating, immediately felt better. Sleep that last night was great. Got right home and just resumed everything, groceries delivered by the time I walked into the house, meal prepped and ready to rock and roll on Monday. What do you think it is? Do you think people just get to a point where they're like, I just don't want to expend the effort to do this stuff proactively, or I'm still like I've been doing this for 15 years and I still can't figure out why people want to voluntarily feel like shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people are used to feeling. It is always just so mind blowing to me. Like it's got to be so frustrating, that cycle over and over and over and over again. I mean, I've been backtracking all my stuff, and I get it. Like I've tried getting back on track, tracking and things over the past year, but just wasn't doing it. But what you said before, it's absolutely about how I feel. It's not like I know there'll be a physical result,
Yeah.
but it's not for that reason that I'm doing it. I'm like, I'm just tired of lacking the discipline. I'm tired of feeling the way that I feel. Feel like there's time. I mean, with no alcohol, I wake up the next day, my eyes are puffy, like I was drinking all night.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even drink yesterday, and like I feel I'm like food hungover. So for me, it's absolutely like how I feel. I mean, even this morning, there was some junk available, and I was like, oh, I might just eat that because it was dropped off to the house. And I'm like, no, I don't want to feel that way. I want to eat a good high protein breakfast, get going, feel good. And then once you have that high protein meal, those cravings go away. And if the craving starts coming back, you have another meal. But yeah, it's what do you want to feel like? And then constantly remind yourself, how do you want to feel the next day, which is what you were describing. I'm not going to eat like this because I don't want to feel this way tomorrow. People are so, I think, used to, as a whole, just satisfying the immediate need, that protective measure. I don't, and usually, like we've talked about it, usually goes back to some kind of emotional stuff. They're not wanting to sit with their feelings or anything. And you want to eat this and drink this, and it's escapism and coping at its finest. And yeah, it's tough. So maybe next year, start mid-January like I did instead of January 1st. There's maybe less expectations. You start when everybody else is quitting.
Well, interestingly enough, I've been watching kind of your reacclimation back into your habits, and it's almost like one good habit leads right into the next.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been seeing with you. It's like you started getting back into lifting in your garage again, and you're enjoying that, and you're posting about it. And I think it's almost like for accountability to some degree
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
because by showing others, you're showing up for yourself, but you're also showing up for your audience. And you're never going to have unlimited supplies of willpower or
Yeah.
intrinsic motivation. There's going to be times where it's mundane, it sucks, you don't want to do it. It's easier to do the other thing. You want to soothe, you want to say fuck it, but I think you're allowed to do that a few times here and there. Like I think it's
Yeah.
just a matter of like where are you right now with what your habits look like? Where do you want to be in the next 6 months and how do you want to feel? And that's going to determine that gap, that delta in between where you are now and where you want to be. Then you just decide, what does a month of compliance look like for me? Is it 20 days a month? Is it 15 days a month? Is it 10 days a month? Like what's the least amount of effort that I can put into this and still get that small amount of forward progress? Whereas like for me, I've determined that if I want to actively lose fat and I want to be my leanest version of myself, I don't have the opportunity to do it less than 22 to 25 days out of the month. Like I have
Yeah.
to hit my calories. within 90 to 110%. I have to hit all my workouts. I have to do my rituals. And if I don't do it for more than 22 to 25 days a month, I'm not seeing an ounce of visible change.
Yeah.
Now, most people aren't me though, right? They're not walking around at 12, 13% body fat. Most people are walking around, women are walking around at 30 plus. Most men are walking around at 25 plus. So they don't have to bend over backwards on a monthly basis to achieve these types of visible results. They might have to tighten it up for like 15 or 20 days a month, which still gives you 10 days of fuck around time. But then it's also like on those fuck around days, how much are you actually fucking around? Like if it's mild, not a big deal. If it's an egregious fuck it all session, then and you're putting down 4,000 calories and you don't even think about it, then I would probably want to retool your approach.
Yeah. Maybe some people just need to, because I always refer back to the staples that I have. Even when I'm at my worst, I have my staples with like breakfasts and lunches and things like that. So maybe
like you're not eating 3 bad meals a day.
Yeah. It's usually like the late night, like not late night, but in the evening is when things might go awry. But if people just start, what is a staple? On my worst day, can I have a high protein shake for 1 meal a day? You know, if that's a staple. This is my breakfast no matter how I'm feeling.
Yep.
You know, something, just some kind of a staple that they can bank on and then see what grows from there, kind of what you were referring to. One positive step leads to another positive step. And it's kind of what I was posting about the last couple of days of just, what do you even want? I still think that so many people are driven by the perception of others. And it's okay to have that a little bit. You know, you've talked about it's okay to have aesthetic goals. It's okay to have all that stuff. Obviously, I'm excited to get leaner and look better. And this time I'll appreciate it more, you know, after appreciating where I'm at now. And what do you actually even want? Is it just the body, but not the lifestyle? Well, then you're going to keep spinning your wheels. You have to want the lifestyle in some regard. I mean, what are you going to do? Get in great shape and then go right back to the old ways, and then you're going to gain it all back. So you have to, on some level, want the lifestyle if you think this is going to stick. You have to want that lifestyle because of how it makes you feel.
And I think anybody that's succeeded at this truly values that routine. Like there's so many people I have that will go on vacation and be like so excited to get home. And not because they're rushing the vacation or they didn't appreciate the time off, but being off your routine for 3, 4, or 5 days straight,
it's draining.
It is. And it's also, it's very impactful to your quality of life. It really does start to diminish how good you can possibly feel. And people start really, the people that are really good at this and value this, they sprint back towards that routine, and that's all they want to talk about. And those are the people I know made it. Like that's the person I know I can coach for the next 3 years. I can put them through performance phases, longevity phases, strength phases, cardiovascular improvement phases, and not just sit there and just worry about body fat. And those are the clients to me that are truly the most successful long term because they take the sense of urgency out of all of it. There is no timeline anymore. It's just this is who I am and this is how I want to live. And then they also appreciate the physical accolades and capabilities of their body as opposed to just what it looks like. Because they appreciate and understand the logic behind I can't always be my leanest self and feel my best and not bend over backwards to do it. They know that they can spend periods of time very, very lean, and they know they can spend periods of time where they're not as lean, but they're finding other cool shit that they're capable of and able to do in their lifestyle, which makes things a little bit more exciting as opposed to this perpetual sense of maintenance that has all this ambiguity and has no real focus. And I think that's what drives people in the interim very crazy about where should I be?
Yeah. Where do you want to be? Oh, fuck. It's fucking life's a roller coaster. You gotta, like, there's today's post, you know, the waves are rough. You gotta learn how to surf. You can keep fighting the waves, but you gotta learn how to surf if you want to enjoy this a little bit. But it's not like it's not always going to be the same thing. You can pick and choose and find different things to pursue and get excited about. So yeah, man, good luck to all the people failing at their New Year's resolutions right now or feeling like they're failing at their New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's truly failing. Like I had a call with a girl today who kind of slipped up over the last month and a half, and you know, she's like very admittedly and very self-aware, saying like I didn't utilize you, I didn't reach out, I was going through a bunch of shit that I just didn't feel like interacting with anybody about. I retreated back to my former shitty habits that didn't serve me well. I made myself feel worse than I ever did.
Yeah.
And I figured out again that all in or all out is the only thing I know how to do. And I said, well, that can remain your narrative for the rest of your life. Or you can realize that like there was probably still something you could have done in that last month and a half that could have amplified how good you felt every day. And, you know, she was talking about how shitty her sleep was because her kids were sick constantly. I'm like, well, you can't control your kids being sick. But you can control how you feed yourself, how you feed them, how you take care of them. And if you take care of yourself better, you probably are a better caretaker to them. And then they'll probably not have as many symptoms or be as sick for as long, right? As opposed to like, well, now we're all just sitting around eating comfort food, doing nothing, and just being sick, and then just prolonging those symptoms. And then also, too, just use that support network that you have, whether it's people around you at home, whether it's the people in the community on your Facebook group that I have, or me as a coach. Like, reach out to me and say, hey, this is how I feel. This is where things are right now. What is the best course of action at the moment? Well, I would have told her, hey, I don't give a shit about body comp. I don't give a fuck about how you weigh. I don't need you to weigh and track your food. Just eat 3 times a day and make it look like about this. And if you can get to the gym, great. If not, just take 10 to 15,000 steps on your walking pad every day. Who cares? It's better than nothing. Yeah. And at least now there's this micro goal that you can focus on and really feel good about just having small achievements every day that are contributing to some positivity, as opposed to this, like, I'm going to fucking just set all of this down for the next 6 weeks and then I'll find my way back to it later. And you certainly can. There's nothing wrong. You're never prohibited from restarting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? Like, there's nobody saying, like, oh, you're a loser because you're restarting again for the 95th time. Good. It's better than never trying.
Yeah. Some people, I think, might be afraid to let people know that they're trying to lose weight because they've said it so many times before, and they don't want to say it again because they feel stupid, and they keep it a secret, and they want one day for the person to say, "What? Have you been losing weight?" They're like waiting for the comment, kind of a thing. So, yeah, I think I echo that. Get accountability in some way, shape, or form. I mean, that used to be on my bio, whatever, on Instagram. Like, accountability is the foundation of success. So whether it's you posting about it, you speaking about it, you having friends join you, you hiring somebody. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He like walks around his complex, him and his wife, and now other people are starting to do it. He's like, I'm like, you're a true influencer, not like these people online, So these things, people do want to do it. I do think people ultimately want to have these healthy, active lifestyles, but they're all waiting for somebody else to maybe invite them. And maybe you can be the one who initiates it and invites them to whatever it might be.
Well, I also think what you said was powerful before. Like, you said you were sick of not having discipline.
Yeah. There's something to be said about, like, I mean, how proud you'd feel of yourself just on a regular basis when you're having some discipline. It's build your confidence. I think it's sexy for most people, and
well, there's
the way they're viewing themselves. Other people view you if you are disciplined in some way.
I think that's the thing, is you may not look the part yet, right? If you continue these habits for the rest of your life, there will become a time in which you will begin to look the part. I promise you. If you're doing everything quote unquote right, and you do this truly with no timeline in place, there will come a time to where you physically represent your actions over the last X amount of months or years. But even in the interim, just having that discipline, having that swagger, having that pep in your step, having that energy, having that positivity and that mood, it's a very attractive way to live life. Yeah. Like, other people want to be around people like that, even if they're a little bit on the heavier side, even if they're not as cool as other people, whatever it is. There's still something attractive about that individual that just emanates from them. And there's also the opposite is true. When you're a miserable fuck, everybody can feel it. And it's palpable, and it's so unattractive that you just want to sprint away from it. Like, there's the doom and gloomers that just everything is always wrong. Life sucks. This is awful. I'm tired. I'm sick. I'm cranky. I'm having a bad day. And it's like, cool. I don't want to listen to this. Like, I have enough of my own problems to where also having to listen to yours is draining and exhausting. Like, talk about something good in your life for 5 fucking seconds.
It's the habits that people have. People are just in the habit of complaining. They get attention, they get reassurance, they get to be the martyr, which you've talked about on here before. I mean, you get to complain. And I recognize how I used to be big time in that habit. And even now, like, my dad would be like, I know you're busy, because I'm always like, oh, I was running around, I was doing this, then this happened, and then this came up, and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm obviously, but I pay attention to those words, and you've said that stuff on here before. Our words matter so much. We need to be more conscious, and intentional with our words and what we're saying. But I don't think people realize that it is attention-seeking behavior when you're complaining about stuff.
And it's also so reassuring to know that there are people who don't do that. Like I sat on the plane next to a guy who was 82 years old. He was a Navy vet who spent most of his career on a submarine, and just listening to this guy, like I was on the plane for fucking 6 hours yesterday, and it was the most pleasant 6 hours that I've ever spent on a plane because this guy just had so much to say. He was so sharp, so with it, so smart, had all these amazing habits, and this dude writes every single day. He's a poetry writer, and he's trying to publish a poetry book at some point in his life. He's created an email list in his old age where he throws people on the email list and sends them his own poetry on a weekly basis. He goes and volunteers with other Navy vets. He was homeless 4 years ago because his VA benefits ran out, and he couldn't afford his house, and he ended up getting some assistance and then got his house back. And just listening to this guy, like 82 years old, like still making strides. And he's like, I've been married 3 times and I've never found the love of my life. And I'm hopeful that I will before I die. Like just filled with so much positivity and effort and intention. And I'm like, why is this missing in so many people? Like this is a guy who's probably seen some of the worst shit you could possibly see as a Navy veteran from Vietnam. He's had multiple marriages fail, multiple businesses fail, has lost multiple kids to death, has lost his home, but yet he's still sitting there on a plane smiling and talking about all the things he wants to do with the little bit of life he has left. And we got people in their 40s who got another 45 years of this shit in front of them, and they can't figure it out, and they don't make the fucking effort. And it's just, to me, it's like, are you just going to roll over now? Like, this is when you call it quits now? Like, you're done with self-development, personal development? There's nothing else you can improve or do better on? And that's just going to be your narrative and the cloak you put on yourself until you're dead? Like, it's just such a sad way to live.
Yeah. And self-development's got almost like a negative connotation for a lot of people. You know, it's like, oh, that's corny. I'm not some big businessman. I don't need this kind of stuff. But we know that we're in the business of self-development. I mean, when you're coaching somebody and somebody's gaining more confidence, they're learning that they are capable of doing something, they follow through with things, and the confidence that they get, all the stuff that we just talked about, like that is self-development. And there's obviously other layers to it as well, but that is self-development, just reminding yourself or proving to yourself that you can show up for yourself. And then there's all the internal work that you've been doing and I've been doing, and all those things, the way that we confront ourselves. And that's just a different layer of it, you know. But yeah, what else are we doing here on earth? Like, why not learn ourselves? You know, and at that, you develop relationships with people. And maybe you start a podcast with them.
I'm terrified of death, man. I really am. And I said that the other day. I'm like, it gets more real for me as each day passes. And I surround myself with people that are older, that have spent more time on this earth than I have. And the fear of death alone is enough for me to do better today. And I guess, you know, it's like some people aren't afraid of death. And maybe they're not afraid of death because they don't really give a shit about being alive anymore. You know, maybe it's like, well, I've done it all. I've had the kids, I've had the career, I've had the wife, or I've had the husband, and that's it. That's all it's meant for me. As opposed to, like, those are just the societal expectations of living life. As opposed to, how are you actually extracting fulfillment and value out of every single day that you're alive? Because, yeah, of course you're going to have bad days. Of course there's going to be days where you don't have a pep in your step and you just want to fucking sit in front of the TV and just lounge and not talk to anybody. That's going to happen, and that's okay. But if you evaluate and audit how you actually feel more often than not, and you're generally more on the negative side of stuff, like, you got to do something at some point to get yourself out of that rut, because you don't have a ton of opportunities left.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm afraid of death or not.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if I've like thought enough about it. I've always told myself I'm not afraid of death. I'm not looking forward to the process if it's like a nice quick death.
Well, no, but like, think about it this way. When you think about death, like when there's been times where I've been brushing my teeth and I just think, like, at one point in my life, I will not be here to brush my teeth anymore.
Yeah.
Like, all of it, like the lights will be out and I will have no more wake up anymore.
So then what's there to be afraid? If it's complete black darkness, nothing, zero consciousness, you're just dead. There's no other form of consciousness or anything like that after death, what's there to be afraid of? Just
That
the
the
end of
fact
it?
that it's over, the fact that I truly do, the clock is truly ticking, and I don't have an infinite amount of time left to try it again and do it over and do my best or give it another shot. Like I only have, let's call it 45 years left.
But then I'm saying, like, what's the fear part? Just the fact that it's not there?
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that
Did you ever remember feeling that way about other chapters of your life, like graduating high school or college?
no, it's just, and I
Yeah.
never was and I wasn't really afraid of death until very recently.
Yeah. Do you think it's like seeing your parents and stuff?
See, my
Or others?
parents certainly contributes to it. Listening to other wiser, older people
Yeah.
that are now in that like almost either really appreciative or regretful phase. Like some people are appreciative of their life and they're like, wow, I really did do my best. And other people are like, man, I should have done it differently 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
And I just think hearing those stories, it's like it's so easy to get wrapped up in the comfortable, simple, easy route right now, as opposed to being like, I could just tough it out for a second more and it'll pay me back in spades in a month from now.
Yeah.
And I just don't think we think like everybody plans for shit long term when it comes to their finances or it comes to their relationships or their career, but nobody's planning ahead for themselves as part of like how can I actually be better as a person this time next year?
Yeah.
How is today's action or today's sacrifice going to benefit me in 6 months from now? Like so few people live that way, and the more I see people older and happy, the more I know that that's how they lived.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still learning how to enjoy in the moment of all of that. I mean, I've always said we want to be in a certain shape, a certain condition, so that we can enjoy as much of life as we want. There's a lot of people who are unable to enjoy things that they'd want to enjoy in life because of their physical condition. They're so
Yeah.
out of shape they can't do things and they can't experience all the things that they'd want to experience. So that to me would be most of my motivation, is just so that I can do the things that I want to do and I can try the things that I want to try. If I want to hike a mountain or do something like that, I can. That's what I want to be able to do. But even like being better, like that concept of like being better, I don't know what that even means to me right now. You know what I
And
mean?
that's all right, because
Yeah.
but you are being better in avenues that you stopped focusing on in the last year because you had other things going on.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying just like the idea, like I gotta be. Sometimes like there could be so much pressure to like be better. Where it's like just show up for yourself today and enjoy as much as you can. Pursue the things that might seem scary. Discover things about yourself. Be vulnerable with people around you. So yeah, it's an interesting thing for people to think about. Like what does that even mean for that? I think to be better probably means something different for everybody.
It
You know,
does, and I,
because
and,
it's
and
like,
I,
oh,
I
you don't
appreciate
put
it.
too much pressure on yourself.
No, I think if there's going to
Good
be
enough.
any,
I'm not good enough, which is, I think, a lot of people's issue as well.
I think if there's any place you should put pressure on yourself is to waste less time.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that I really do think is truly detrimental to mental health is the amount of time that we actually, especially now that we have so many ways to do it. Like 40
Yeah.
years ago, we just didn't have the methodologies to waste time with. We didn't have social media. We didn't have an abundance of television series to binge on. And like we could actually be very much present and productive in various ways. Now, I mean, how many times do we even ourselves who know better find ourselves doing the 30 minutes of doom scrolling?
Oh,
Or
God, yeah.
the hours spent in front of the TV when you could be reading, where you could be walking, where you could be talking, where you could be building, where you could be experimenting, where you could be playing with something in the kitchen that's a recipe that you never did before. Like there's so many, and there's nothing wrong with downtime. Like I think white space is so important to take.
It's the amount of it. Yeah.
What are you doing? Like if you're intentional about the white space, and this is something that Jamie and I are working on with our work together. She's like, take the white space, but then make sure that all the time that you spend outside of that white space is something that's fueling your soul, your mental health, your physical health. If you're
What's been
doing it,
something that's fueling your soul the most lately?
honestly, like reading. Like I've gotten back into reading and like listening to books.
What stuff are you reading?
I'm in between two. I'm reading Burn by Herman Ponzer, the book on metabolism.
Okay.
Very cool. Very
Sounds
very
exciting.
very dry, but like very, 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 very like eye opening as a coach, especially like just science wise. And then I'm also reading or I'm listening to the Anxious Generation, the book about social media and like parenting and all that. So it's like two completely different subjects, but very fascinating in their own ways, and just offers different perspective and different ways to think about things, and starts different conversations. Like I've brought it up in conversation, and it's led to like 30, 45-minute really cool talks with people. And just stuff like that. You just become a more interesting person when you have things going on, as opposed to like all you are as a parent. Cool, so is everybody else. All you are is you go to work. Cool, everybody else has a job too. Like, what else do you have to offer to the world outside of just I'm a parent, I'm an employee of a company, and I have a mortgage?
Yeah, which goes back to that who are you? Who are you? People say, I'm Jim. I'm a teacher. I'm a parent. And like they're using these words to describe themselves. And it's the same exact labeling issue that clients have with my whole family's been fat. This is just how I am. This is blah, blah, blah. Like just labeling yourself instead of like, I don't know. There's just something wild about like, you're just you. And this is your like one time here on earth with this consciousness. Even if you believe in reincarnation, you're coming back in a different consciousness. You're not coming back like, oh, I remember when I was a gym teacher. It's a totally still new experience. It's still your first time having that experience and that consciousness kind of thing. But yeah, it's there's so many the labels I think really screw a lot of people up. And then they have that identity crisis when that ends. The kids move out of the house, they retire, they get fired, like massive identity crisis, because that's all you were, is that label that you identified so much with. It's a great ending point there, buddy.
It is. It is. I appreciate the one-on-ones, man. I think it's a good way to get back to our roots.
Yeah, I like it. If only I could get my goddamn microphone working to cut out in the middle of this, where then it just went to the speaker on the computer instead of through the microphone. So the audio maybe change sounds, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
Whatever. It's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to get done.
Yeah. Remember to look in the show notes for our discount codes for Legion, Cured Nutrition. And there's a negative 5% discount code, which means you have to pay 5% extra for Real Coaches Summit. The link in our show notes as well.
I'm actually
you go directly to the website. It's cheaper.
I'm going to be leaving Legion soon and heading over to another supplement company.
Yeah, you can't reveal that right now?
Not yet. It's in the works, but
thanks for including me in that. I really appreciate it.
I'm
trying to ride your coattails, but you just keep friggin' yanking them away as soon as I'm about to.
Do you want to join another supplement company? I haven't tried their. My only hesitation is I haven't tried their protein yet, and they're shipping me a sampler. Nice. So once I get that, and I verify that it actually doesn't taste like dog shit, then I'll definitely make the switch.
Nice. We have to get some of these people to start sponsoring this, so I can save $1,000 a year to keep this shit going.
Yeah, or we can just make more money and keep doing it.
Yeah, that's fine as well. But
I'd rather not rely on anybody but ourselves.
We don't have to rely on them. Just take it while we can.
That's true.
What I'm saying?
Yeah. Only feed.
All right, man. Well, Aram, bye.